It is 282 years after Aegon's conquest, and Westeros is once again facing a grueling civil war. Robert Baratheon and Eddard Stark have raised their banners to fight against the tyranny of King Aerys Targaryen, second of his name, known even to Targaryen loyalists as the Mad King. Alongside these two young men, Lords Jon Arryn of the Vale and Hoster Tully of the Riverlands have likewise raised their banners in rebellion. Jon Arryn due to his long-standing relationship as the guardian of Robert and Eddard, and Hoster Tully through marriage pacts with both House Stark and Arryn. House Targaryen, meanwhile, is supported by Houses Tyrell and Martell, alongside a smattering of minor lords from the Riverlands, Crownlands, Stormlands and the Vale, many of whom were not as eager as their liege lords to take up arms against the Crown. Notably, Lord Tywin Lannister and Lord Reaper Quellon Greyjoy have declared for neither side, Lord Tywin's relations with the Crown having deteriorated significantly since his resignation as Hand of the King the year prior, due to the naming of his son and heir, Jaime Lannister, to King Aerys' Kingsguard. Lord Quellon, for his part, is an old and ailing man with no great loyalty or affection for either side in the conflict. For many years, though especially since the disastrous defiance at Duskendale, King Aerys' sanity has been in slow decline. Secluded at court, Aerys' hair and fingernails grow long from neglect, his paranoia such that he will not allow servants near him to tame his unkempt appearance. Beyond the walls of the Red Keep, the king's madness was a well-kept secret until the tournament at Harrenhal. The tourney was organised by Lord Walter Went to celebrate the name day of his daughter, though some whisper it was in fact a ploy by Rhaegar, Prince of Dragonstone, to host a great council to dethrone his mad father. These utterances led King Aerys himself to attend, revealing to the world at large the extent of his mental deterioration. Perhaps more shocking to the crowds, however, was the result of the tourney. The victory by Prince Rhaegar and his subsequent crowning of Lyanna Stark, sister of Ned Stark and the betrothed of Robert Baratheon, as the Queen of Love and Beauty. This act was said to have thrown Brandon Stark, heir apparent to Winterfell, into such a rage that he had to be physically restrained. For months after, Rhaegar's behaviour at Harrenhal smouldered in the minds of lords and small folk alike. With the coming of a new year came the spark that would light the flame of war. Prince Rhaegar and Lyanna Stark had disappeared together near Harrenhal. The news that Rhaegar had abducted Lyanna quickly reached Brandon Stark, who was in the Riverlands awaiting his marriage to Catelyn Tully. Though untrue, as the pair had absconded together, the news drove Brandon into a fit of rage that would prove to be both his and the realm's undoing. Immediately, Brandon rode for King's Landing, demanding at the gates of the Red Keep that Prince Rhaegar come out and die. Unbeknownst to him and most of Westeros, however, was that Prince Rhaegar and Lyanna were instead in Dorne by the time that Brandon arrived. The only thing awaiting Brandon in the capital was the sadistic wrath of King Aerys, who had the young lord and his companions arrested for plotting to kill the prince. Lord Rickard Stark, who had been in the Riverlands with his retainers preparing for Brandon's wedding, was summoned to King's Landing to answer for his heir. None would return home. Upon arriving in King's Landing, Rickard demanded the right to a trial by combat for his son, though King Aerys, in a fit of madness, declared that his champion would be fire. Lord Rickard would burn in the throne room of the Red Keep with Brandon watching on helplessly, a rope around his neck, feet away from a sword to cut himself free. In his attempts to reach the blade, Brandon would strangle himself. Following the spectacle at court, King Aerys sent word to Jon Arryn, Lord of the Vale, demanding the heads of his wards, Eddard Stark and Robert Baratheon. In defiance of the Mad King's order, Lord Arryn called his bannermen and prepared for war. Not all in the Vale were as pleased to raise their banners in defiance of the Crown, prime among these being House Grafton, whose control over Gulltown has left Robert Baratheon, for the time being, stuck in the Vale with no way out other than to take the city by force. The young Ned Stark is stolen away to the Fingers, crossing the Bight to raise his banners at home. Prior to his crossing, Ned's speedy marriage to Catelyn Tully, his late brother's betrothed, and the venerable Jon Arryn's marriage to Lysa Tully secured Lord Hoster Tully's loyalty in the war to come. Rebuking their liege, many of the Storm Lords have declared for the crown rather than Robert Baratheon. Most notable among them is Lord Jon Connington, one of Prince Rhaegar's closest friends. Stuck in Storm's End, and largely at the mercy of Crown loyalists, are Lord Robert's younger brothers, the brooding Stannis and 6-year-old Renly. In the south, Lord Paramount Mace Tyrell has raised his banners alongside the houses of Dorne under the guidance of Prince Doran Martell. Many are unsure of Lord Tyrell's cause for such loyalty, though for Prince Doran the cause is clear. His sister, Elia, wife of Rhaegar, is as good a hostage in King's Landing. In King's Landing, King Aerys falls ever deeper into madness and despair, surrounded only by sycophants whispering sweet nothings to him to soothe his delusions and paranoia. Prime among these are Lord Varys, the Lyseni eunuch who has risen to be the master of whispers, and Rossart, head of the Guild of Pyromancers. One man who does not bow aimlessly to the king is his son, Prince Rhaegar, who may still yet have plans to dethrone his father as his madness grows ever worse.